There's a moment I'll never forget. I was sitting with a gentleman in his late 80s at a senior living community here in the Bay Area. Quiet guy, barely spoke during activities. Staff told me he mostly kept to himself. Then one day, someone asked him a simple question. Tell me about your first job. Suddenly, he sat up straighter. His eyes lit up. He talked about delivering newspapers in San Jose before Silicon Valley even existed, about riding his bike before sunrise, about saving up to buy his first car, about meeting his wife not long after. For 10 minutes, he wasn't a resident. He wasn't a patient. He was a storyteller. And everyone in the room leaned in. That's the power of reminiscence therapy. And today I want to talk about why it matters more than most families realize. Hi, I'm Dale Corpus, a senior transition specialist and real estate expert based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm also part of the Sandwich Generation. This is another episode of Sandwich Generation Solutions powered by the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast, where I help families navigate senior care, housing decisions, and emotional transitions with more clarity and compassion. Today's episode is softer but incredibly powerful. We're talking about reminiscence therapy, how storytelling, memory sharing, and reflection help seniors thrive emotionally, cognitively, and socially, especially during big life transitions. Let's dive in. So, what is reminiscence therapy? Reminiscence therapy is exactly what it sounds like. It's the intentional act of encouraging seniors to remember, reflect, and share their life experiences through stories, photos, music, objects, or conversation. It's not about testing memory, it's not about correcting details, and it's definitely not about living in the past. It's about honoring a life lived. For seniors, especially those experiencing cognitive decline, loneliness, depression, big transitions like moving or losing independence, reminiscence therapy helps restore something critical: identity. Let's talk about why this matters during senior transitions. Here's what families don't always realize. When a senior moves, whether into assisted living, memory care, or even downsizes, they're not just leaving a house. They're leaving their routine, their role in family, their sense of purpose, their independence. That loss can be subtle or overwhelming. Reminiscence therapy helps bridge that gap. It reminds seniors, I still matter. My life has meaning. My story is worth telling. And for families, it shifts the focus from what's being lost to what's being honored. So, how storytelling helps the brain? There's actual science to this. When seniors recall long-term memories, especially emotionally meaningful ones, it activates different parts of the brain, strengthens neural connections, reduces anxiety and agitation, improves mood and engagement. For seniors with dementia, long-term memory often remains accessible even when short-term memory fades. That's why a senior might forget what they ate for breakfast, but vividly remember their wedding day from 60 years ago. Reminiscence therapy meets them where their brain still works best. Let me tell you a story about a Bay Area family. Let's call them the Rodriguez family, and they're from Redwood City. Their mom, Elena, had recently moved into assisted living after a fall. She was safe. She was cared for, but she was quiet, withdrawn. Her daughter assumed this was just adjustment. One day during a visit, Elena pointed to a faded photo in a box. It was her, decades earlier, standing outside a bakery in San Francisco. Turns out Elena had run a small bakery with her sister in the Mission District in the 1970s. The daughter had never heard the story, so they started asking questions. They brought old photos, they asked about recipes, they recorded her stories on their phone. Staff got involved. The activity director asked Elena to share baking stories during group time. Her posture changed. Her appetite improved. She started showing up again. Nothing about her care plan changed. but everything about her sense of self did. Reminiscence therapy isn't just talking. Storytelling can take many forms. Looking through photo albums, listening to music from a specific era, holding meaningful objects, watching old home videos, smelling familiar scents, sharing career stories, and talking about childhood neighborhoods. It can be one-on-one or in groups, formal or informal, guided or spontaneous. The key isn't perfection. The key is presence. Here's what families sometimes struggle. They rush. They correct. They say things like, "That's not how it happened. No, that was your sister." Or, "You already told me that." But reminiscence therapy isn't about accuracy. It's about emotion. If a story brings joy, connection, or calm, that's success, even if details shift, especially if details shift. And believe it or not, this helps adult children too. Here's the part no one talks about. Reminiscence therapy isn't just healing for seniors. It's healing for the adult children. You learn things you never knew. You see your parent as a full human, not just someone who needs help. You create memories while you still can. Many families later tell me, "I wish we'd asked these questions sooner." This is how you avoid that regret. So how do you get started today? I have some simple steps. You don't need a therapist to begin. Try this. Ask one open-ended question. What was your favorite job? Who influenced you the most? What was your childhood home like? Bring one object or photo, record stories on your phone, write things down, let silence happen, and don't rush the moment. 5 minutes can change someone's entire day. Many Bay Area senior living communities already use reminiscence therapy, sometimes without calling it that. Life storyboards, memory walls, group storytelling, music-based activities. When families participate too, the impact multiplies. This is especially powerful during move-ins, memory care transitions, and end-of-life conversations. Storytelling becomes a bridge, not a goodbye. So let's recap. Today we talked about what reminiscence therapy is, why storytelling helps seniors emotionally and cognitively, how it eases transitions and restores identity, why families benefit just as much, and how to start simply and gently. This isn't about looking backward. It's about honoring forward. This has been another episode of Sandwich Generation Solutions, powered by the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast. If your loved one is navigating a senior transition and you're trying to balance logistics with compassion, that's exactly where I help. And for those of you watching, if your loved one is considering senior living and you need to figure out what to do with their home, let's talk. Schedule a free consultation and learn more about my services at www.simplifyseniortransitions.com. Have a quick question. You could DM me anytime on Instagram at SoulByDale. If this episode resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this message. I'm Dale Corpus, and I'll see you on the next episode.